Have you ever sat on a runway, looked out the window at that gigantic wing and just thought to yourself, how in the world is this massive thing going to get off the ground? I mean, it just seems to defy all common sense. Well, today we're going to break it all down and demystify the incredible science of flight.
Because really, that's the big puzzle, isn't it? We're talking about a metal tube that's packed with people, luggage, and fuel, weighing hundreds of tons, and it somehow just lifts up and soars through the sky. Spoiler alert, it's not magic, it's physics. And it all boils down to a constant, invisible battle happening around the plane.
You see, every single second an airplane is in the air, it's caught in the middle of this epic tug-of-war between four fundamental forces. If you can understand this balance, you're well on your way to understanding flight. So let's break down who's pulling on which rope.
All right, so first up in this tug-of-war, you've got the vertical forces. On one side, you have lift. This is the hero force, the one created by the wings that pushes the entire plane upwards.
And pulling in the exact opposite direction? That's weight. It's the simple, relentless pull of gravity that's always trying to bring the plane back down to Earth.
Okay, so that's the up and down battle. Now for the front to back. Pushing everything forward, you have thrust. This is the raw power coming from the engines.
And the force that's always trying to hold it back is drag. You can just think of it as air resistance. So you've got these four forces in this constant dynamic dance.
So here's the bottom line, the simple rule of thumb for flight. If you want to go up, lift has to be stronger than weight. Simple. Want to speed up? Thrust has got to beat drag. And when you're just cruising along, nice and steady at 30,000 feet, all four of those forces are in this perfect, delicate balance.
So that leads to the really big question. Where does that magical upward force, lift, actually come from? And you might think it's all about the engines, right? But nope, the real magic, the secret sauce, is hidden in the brilliant shape of the wing itself.
See that shape? That specific cross-section is called an airfoil. And that noticeable curve on the top, well, that's not just for style points. That curve is pretty much the entire reason a plane can fly. It's designed to play a really clever trick on the air flowing past it.
Okay, so here's how it works. As the plane moves forward, air hits the front edge of the wing and splits into two streams. Now, because of that curve, the air going over the top has a longer path to travel to meet up with the air at the back. To make that longer journey in the same amount of time, it has to speed up. And this is where a key piece of physics called Bernoulli's principle kicks in, which basically says that faster-moving air exerts less pressure.
So what you get is this amazing pressure difference. You've got a zone of low pressure above the wing, where the air is zipping along, and a zone of higher pressure underneath the wing, where the air is moving slower. And what does high pressure always want to do? It wants to move toward low pressure. So that high pressure below literally pushes the wing up. And boom, that push is lift. But wait, there's more. That's not the only trick up the wing sleeve. Pilots have another way to generate even more lift. They do it by tilting the nose of the plane up just a little bit, which changes how the wing meets the oncoming air. This is what we call the angle of attack.
Think about it this way. By tilting the wing up, you're now also physically smacking the air and deflecting it downwards. And you probably remember Newton's third law from science class, right? For every action, there was an equal and opposite reaction. So as the wing shoves a massive amount of air down, the air shoves the wing up. It's like getting a 2-for-1 deal on lift.
Okay, so we've got the secret of the wing figured out, but there's a catch. None of this works if the plane is just sitting still on the tarmac. You need air flowing over those wings, and for that you need forward speed. And that is where the engines finally come into play.
So how do you get that forward motion? Well, whether you're looking at a massive jet engine or an old-school propeller, the basic idea is exactly the same. Throw a whole bunch of air backwards really fast. Jet engines do it by sucking in air, mixing it with fuel, and creating a controlled explosion that blasts out the back. Propellers are basically just spinning wings. They act like big screws, literally pulling the airplane forward through the air.
And this is a super important point, so listen up. The engines do not lift the plane directly. Let me say that again. The engine's job isn't to lift. Their one and only job is to create enough forward speed, that's the thrust, so that the wings can work their aerodynamic magic. No speed, no lift. It's really that simple.
All right, so the plane is up in the air, it's moving forward, but how do you actually, steer it? You can't just turn a steering wheel like in a car. Instead, pilots use these clever little moving surfaces on the wings and the tail to control how the plane moves through the sky.
Okay, let's look at the pilot's main toolkit.
Out on the edges of the wings, you have the ailerons. These control the roll, which is what lets the plane bank or tilt left and right for turns. Then, back on the tail, you have the elevator. This makes the nose pitch up or down, and also on the tail is the rudder, which makes the nose yaw or point left or right. A pilot is constantly making tiny adjustments to all three to fly the plane smoothly.
All right, let's bring it all home. We've talked about the four forces, we've talked about lift, and we've talked about control. Now let's see how it all comes together in the two most critical phases of any flight, taking off and landing.
For takeoff, it's all about creating a controlled imbalance of those forces. First, the engines roar to life, giving you maximum thrust. The plane starts hurtling down the runway, building up that critical airspeed. Then, at just the right moment, the pilot pulls back on the controls. This increases the angle of attack, and just like that, the force of lift overpowers the force of weight. And there you go, you're flying.
Now, landing is basically all of that in reverse, but with a clever twist. The pilot cuts the thrust, so the plane starts to slow down. But wait a second, if you slow down, you lose lift, right? Well, here's the cool part. The pilot extends flaps from the back of the wings. These things are amazing. They increase drag to help slow the plane down, but they also change the wing's shape to create more lift at slower speeds. It's what allows for that nice, gentle touchdown.
So from the roar of the engines creating thrust to the subtle design of the wing creating lift, it turns out flying isn't magic at all. It's just an incredible, constant dance between these four powerful forces. So next time you're on a flight and you feel that powerful pushback into your seat on takeoff, take a second. That's the feeling of thrust winning its battle against drag, and lift getting ready to conquer gravity and carry you into the sky.